Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be kind of showing you how I'm gluing down the foam road bed. So I obviously haven't road bedded the entire layout. What I want to do is I want to do it in steps, because if you're doing it all at once, it gets a little overwhelming, a little crazy. So I picked this area to show you guys because it's not necessarily unique. It's just it's pretty complicated. So you can see I've got the Pico curved turnout coming out of here, and so you've got kind of the siding where this is a Pico switch going to the diamond, and this comes back to the Shinohara, and then to an Atlas. So there's lots of custom cutting I've done. You can see here I've got a piece and a piece here for the Shinohara. The Atlases are pretty easy. They line up very easily. But the Pico, you can see, I actually have a little spot there that I could fill, and I can cut a little piece just to fill that spot. But basically, you do not want to see the pink foam under it like that. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. The way I do this is I've laid the track in exactly where I want it, and I pin down the foam. Okay, so I lay down the track, I pin down the track, alright. Then I go and I uproot the pins and I put the road bed under it. So here, it's kind of a bad example because at this point I'm just making sure it's where I want. But then I'm putting the pins on the outside, right, like this, so that come time, I can lift up the track, but the road bed stays in the same spot. And the result is basically this. Now, you can trace it, and that's definitely something I would recommend doing. But, in my case, because I've got, and with the littler pieces, or, if you're doing a lot at once, for sure. Like, if I was doing the whole layout, I would definitely trace everything. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, unpin here, and maybe I'll make a little mark, but I'll unpin, and then I'll glue, and I'll put it back, and then I'll pin it back, right? So basically, I'm only removing one part of the puzzle, you can call it, at a time. And so what I'll do is in some cases, you can see how this goes. I may just make a line, at the ends to make sure that I'm, lining up with about where I want to be, and kind of, make sure that they're in the right spots before the glue dries. Now, if the glue does dry and they're not in the right spots, it's not the end of the world. One thing that you want to do, now I'm using Woodland Scenics, but one thing you do want to do, with regardless what glue you are using for the foam or cork or whatever kind of road bed you're using, is on the back. Now, if this actually focuses, you're probably not going to be able to read it anyway. Regardless, it is special foam glue, so it's not eating through the foam. It's actually acceptable for wooden cork as well. The important thing is it's water soluble. So that means that if I take a little spray bottle, if I glue everything down and I take a little spray bottle full of water and I spray it and let it soak, the glue will release and I can pull things back up. And that's super useful for if you move layouts, or if you plan on renovating in the future, or even if you just kind of messed up. That really helps. I would say that's a need, but most foam glues that I've seen, because they're not as powerful, they are water soluble. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a marker, and we'll get started. Alright guys, so I've got my marker, and what I'm doing is I'm just going to make a line where it ends and on the side. So where it ends, sorry, I've only got one hand here, and there. And Looks good. Basically just a small outline on where everything is going to go. And it certainly doesn't need to be perfect, because it's not going to be, because, well, I'm not a perfect kind of guy. Alright. So in some cases I didn't end up, like you can see here, the foam has been cut in the middle to make it easier. And in some cases it has not. Funny story about that, I first got the foam, I didn't cut it in half, right? I'm doing the curves, and they were taking the curves, but what happened was they weren't, you know, when it came to meeting on a curve, the ends, they weren't meeting up. So something like up here, actually, they would not be so smooth. And I was like, man, I don't know what to do. How could I prevent that? And then I was like, oh my god, I should just cut it in half. Cut it in half, works great. So I did that all around the layout. Best choice ever. But you don't need to. You know, in this case, what I've done over here is I've got the curve. It's cut. I've cut it here, and then it just goes onto a solid one, because I'm not going to cut it if I don't need to. So, because I'm working just by myself today, and I'm holding the camera, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up, I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to pick up a foam, I'm going to resume the video, I'm going to, you know, spread the foam. It doesn't, you know, spread the foam on the, or, wow, spread the glue on the foam, spread it, and then put it back down, and show you guys. So, I'm just going to do a real simple piece, this stuff here, this piece here, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so you can see here, and up here is where the rough outline is, and obviously it's just going to follow this one here. So I've got my foam, glue, and I'm just going to, it doesn't need to be a lot. Trying to watch it through the camera so you guys see it, but trying to also watch it not through the camera so I know what I'm doing. So that's pretty good. We take our actual putty knife this time. I'm not just using a 2x4, and we're just going to spread it out like this. It's moving with me because I don't have it weighed down or nothing, but